Hey, welcome guys. I'm Manny. This is Jess, and welcome to
Jesse Gets Messy.
And today we're going to be talking about
should marijuana be legalized or not? So first, let's start off by introducing what marijuana actually is. So it's a psychoactive drug, psychoactive meaning it affects your mind and the behavior of people, and it is derived from the dried leaves, flowers, and stems of the cannabis plant.
It contains over 70 different psychoactive compounds, many not thoroughly studied though.
And there's 4 types of strains. There's sativa, which is a stimulant, makes you feel more awake. Indica, which acts as a depressant, which makes you feel more relaxed. There's ruderalis, has fewer THC levels, so it's not used as commonly. And there's a hybrid, which is a mix of all of this.
I'm for it, she's against it, and I'm here to tell you some facts. My first main point is it reduces the stress on criminal justice systems. As you see here, I have evidence from the National Criminal Justice Reference Service and an article that's measuring the criminal justice system impacts of marijuana legalization and decriminalization using state data with authors Aaron J. Farley, PhD, and Stan Orchowski, PhD. This was published September 9th of 2017 by the Justice Research and Statistics Association. And they focused on 3 things. They focused on 1, what are the impacts of marijuana legalization, decriminalization on the justice criminal resources? 2, what are the impacts of criminal justice resources in states that border those that legalize marijuana? And 3, what are the impacts of legalization and decriminalization on drug trafficking throughout the north and southwestern borders of said states? And what they found is first, the impacts on the criminal justice resources. I mean, this sounds kind of obvious, but when you legalize weed, you obviously arrest people way, way less, right? So that'll cut the $3.6 billion that the government spends yearly on marijuana.
I don't agree with you on that. And my first point is that legalizing marijuana will be an extra burden on the criminal justice system because it can lead people to commit crimes. So according to the article by Alex Berenson, Marijuana is More Dangerous Than You Think, which was published between March and April of 2019. It states that the first 4 stages to legalize marijuana for recreational use were Colorado and Washington in 2014, and Alaska and Oregon in 2015. Combined, these 4 states had about 450 murders and 300,000 aggravated assaults in 2013. In 2017, they had about 620 murders and 30,000 aggravated assaults, which this is an increase for greater than the national average. Also, for centuries, people all over the world, they've understood that cannabis causes mental illness and violence. And there's hard data on the relationship between marijuana and madness. This dates back to 150 years to British asylum registers in India. So it is true that marijuana and violence, they do go hand in hand, meaning that it's not going to be beneficial for the criminal justice system.
But don't you think that barely any side effects when compared to actual medicine, like the medicine that we give people that have chronic pain, that like that.
Okay, and how do they give it? Limited.
Yes, but what happens? It's thousands of times more addictive than cannabis, and they end up creating drug addicts. But at the end of the day, it's still.
And weed doesn't create drug addicts. Of course it does.
Bro, weed abuse at least won't kill.
Hi, I wanted to thank you for being part of this interview, and I was wondering if you could give a quick introduction of yourself.
Hi, I'm Ana Martinez Fuentes. I'm a CRNA and a sociology with 20 years of experience.
What is your opinion regarding the legalization of marijuana and why?
I think marijuana should not be legal because actually it's clinically proven that it causes increase in the heart rate, blood pressure, decreased oxygenation and the persons who consume it. And especially in anesthesia, it's very common for us to find patients who consume marijuana that during the procedure or when they are under anesthesia, they increase dramatically their heart rate. They can go into ventricular tachycardia. They have a lot of high blood pressure, and they can also have bronchospasm, laryngospasm, because they produce a lot of saliva.
Thank you. I appreciate your input.
All right, hey. Today we're here in Commercial Laundries getting an inside scoop with
Bobby Brown.
Bobby Brown. not to be confused with Charlie Brown. So, Bobby, I was wondering, what are your thoughts on marijuana being recreationally legalized?
My thoughts? I mean, for one, I'm not totally for it, I guess. I mean, I don't think it should be illegal, but I definitely think, I guess, overall, in my opinion, it's more of a net negative thing than it is a positive thing. But again, I don't know enough about it. I just know personally, the way I grew up and what I've seen just in my previous job, definitely not really for it, but also at the same time I wouldn't make it illegal. So I kind of I don't like it, but I also understand that people have the freedom to choose to do whatever they want with their own body. So,
all right, that was a great answer. Now let me ask you this. So it shows that 69.7% of ODs in America on a year-by-year cases happen because of opioids. The other 20.2% happen because of cocaine, and the final 4.7% happen because of methamphetamines. Well, as you can see, weed is not on that list, but it used to be because people used to mix opioids with weeds to make them more addictive. So you've heard the fentanyl news reports on the TV.
I'm familiar with fentanyl.
So do you think that this would be a net positive in terms of taking away criminal industry and making it safer for the people that do have the right to choose? Because we've seen that this is the most trafficked drug in America, and people are going to get it one way or another.
Yeah, people are going to get it one way or another. Again, I don't know if I'd make it illegal. My only argument against it would be it's definitely not something that is a net positive. I mean, it's hard to argue that something that alters your, brain chemicals and brain chemistry is a net positive in any way. I mean, I could see it for medicinal use. I know there's cases where some PTSD guys, that helps them a lot, or some people have some chronic pain and that kind of stuff. But just to go out there and smoke a blunt, it's not healthy. But it shouldn't be illegal at the same time, neither is smoking a cigarette. But, I'm personally never been something that I got into, but I know people that are, and, kind of is what it is, but definitely not a net positive. I mean, I think that's pretty, but neither are a lot of things, so.
You mentioned your job earlier. What did you see from your coworkers that made you not like it so much?
I wouldn't say coworkers. Before I was here, I was in a different job that I'd rather not disclose on camera, but it was within the government, and I worked with some agencies that was their main job, and it's a lot of, I wouldn't say it's a gateway drug, but I don't know. Again, it's just, to me, it's overall it's just a net negative thing. It's no different than alcohol in many ways. It's not positive to be drinking alcohol and getting drunk all the time. Same way it is, to smoke pot and be high all the time.
The point is that marijuana is an addictive gateway drug that detrimentally affects people's health. And my article is one by Nora D. Volkow called Adverse Health Effects of Marijuana Use. And it was published on April 11th of 2016. And this article says that marijuana use can lead to addiction. And approximately 9% of people who experiment with marijuana or that they consume it, they'll become addicted to it. There's also a whole syndrome for it. It's called bona fide cannabis withdrawal syndrome. And it's basically once you get addicted to marijuana and you try to stop it, or you try to reduce your intake amount, you have symptoms that are like irritability, sleeping difficulties, dysphoria, craving, and anxiety.